Good evening. My name is Orage Quarles, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2018 State of the County. I am just delighted to be the Master of Ceremonies tonight. When Chairman Holmes called me, I was so excited, I said yes right away. And then it dawned on me, I didn't ask how much I was going to get paid. So, Chairman, have you thought about my pay? You know I'm on a fixed income now, right?
My appreciation and gratitude.
All right, well, that will do it. I know we have many elected leaders in the audience this evening, and would you all please stand and be recognized? You know, last year I had the opportunity to lead the Downtown Raleigh Alliance, and in doing that, I really got behind the doors, if you will, with elected officials. And I walked away with a deep, deep appreciation of what they do. The meetings that you have to go to, the little decisions that you have to make, the big decisions that you have to make, the time and energy that you put into what you do, I want you to know that we greatly appreciate it. So thank you for what you do. We're holding the event tonight in the museum because the county has committed $500,000 in hospitality tax funds to build a paleontology lab specifically for the dueling dinosaurs exhibit. I hope you all have heard of the dueling dinosaurs. All right. The dueling dinosaurs are the only complete skeletons known in the world today of T-Rex and Triceratops frozen in time. That's the best I can do with that word. They're frozen in battle, and you really have to see it, and I am just excited when that new display is going to be open to the public. It may sound like something from Jurassic Park, but this is real science, and the county is helping to bring dino lovers of all ages. As your host, I am honored to share the stage with several community leaders who have played important roles in making the past year a great one for Wake County and our million residents. The one thing I will guarantee you tonight, we have a lineup of extraordinary speakers, and you will hear from them and you will agree with me that we are so fortunate to have people who are committed, who have passion, who believe in Wake County, who believe in our schools, and they give their time and their energy. But you know what? We still have 63 people a day moving to Wake County. 63 people a day. And they're coming from Virginia, New York, and California, but also from India, China, and Mexico. They're coming because Wake County is special. We offer downtown high-rise living and rural neighborhoods surrounded by rolling farmland. We have a first-class education system in Wake County, in our public schools, and with Wake Technical College. And our economy is strong. So is our healthcare system. Now, if you get sick, and I hope you don't, you want to get sick in Wake County, okay? Because we truly have the best hospitals in the world. And God forbid, if you should have a cardiac issue, your survival rate is the highest in the country in Wake County. Keep that in mind. That is the truth. We also have, of course, beautiful parks, greenways, open space that offers all kinds of opportunities to walk, ride, paddle, and just enjoy nature. All right. Hey, you're a lively crowd. I like you. Yeah, we're going to get along great. Even with all of that, Wake County is still working hard to make our home lives even better. Tonight, you'll hear about the positive changes the Board of Commissioners have made over the past year. You'll also hear about exciting changes yet to come. Now, our first speaker really doesn't need an introduction. Adrienne Cole, I think if you peel back and look in the dictionary under economic development, her name will pop up over and over and over. She was born to do this. Speaking of born, Adrienne was actually born here in Raleigh, raised in New Bern, educated at Meredith. And again, she's one of those special people who can do it all. Somehow she's balanced home, life, raising 3 children, attending all of these meetings morning and night. But she does it because she loves what she does. She was born to do it. And last year, she was named the new CEO of the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. And what a great move. Please join me in welcoming Adrienne Cole.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to move around a little bit. Can you all, am I on here and here? Okay, good. I'm going to dance for you. No, I'm kidding. So when Chair Holmes asked me to come and speak about economic development, it's such an honor and a privilege because we enjoy such an incredible partnership with Wake County in what we do. Wake County Economic Development is a program of the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. My colleague Michael Haley is in the audience somewhere, or was earlier. He may still be out there. So Michael is the Executive Director of Wake County Economic Development. We are a public-private partnership, and the county is such an incredible partner in what we do. And if anybody has been around me when I've talked about economic development, you know that I share that it is a team sport. We cannot be effective in marketing and promoting and working with our existing companies and companies that want to move into the market without the partnership of the county. So I'd like to just lead a round of applause for that partnership. Thank you all very, very much. So at the Raleigh Chamber, we take a very broad picture of economic development. So we do traditional business recruitment, retention, and expansion. I tell people that we do everything from potholes to headquarters, and I'm serious in that. I'll have a company call and say, Adrienne, the potholes outside of my business are causing problems. Can you help me? The answer is yes. The next call might be a company saying, we're interested in relocating our corporate headquarters to your community. Can you help me? The answer is yes. So we're very focused on business recruitment, retention, and expansion, everything from one-person shops to entrepreneurs to small businesses to the largest companies that are thinking about creating thousands of jobs in our market. We are an ascending marketplace. When we benchmarked our market against 32 other major metros across the country, looking at 200 data points, we were the #1 overall community in those indexes. And we looked at things like momentum and future and talent and cost of doing business. And in all of those, we didn't rank #1 in each index, but when you put them all together, we were #1. And I think all of us see and feel that. I don't think any of us would want to do what we do in any other community than this one. When I look at our project activity, we have 53 active projects. Those are companies that are considering moving into our community, and they run the gamut. They're information technology companies, they're life science companies, they're advanced manufacturing companies. They are clean tech companies, they're fintech companies. We have such a diverse economy here, really spurred on by the strength of our universities, our K-12 educational system, our community college, you'll hear more about that, but also the wise investments and strong decision-making and leadership that we've seen with our county commission and all 12 municipalities in Wake County. So we have the honor of meeting the municipalities where they are. We work to support them in their economic development efforts. And with that, we bring on new programming, like our site assessment program, which we launched about 3 years ago. That was intended to make sure that all of our communities have product to sell. They've got sites ready to go for companies that want to move into Zebulon or Holly Springs or Rollsville. We launched a foreign direct investment initiative because we recognized that over 40% of our project activity was coming from foreign-owned companies, and there's a real opportunity for us in that. So we're also focused on talent. The only way our companies are going to be successful now and in the future is if we are investing in talent. And with that, we again partner with the incredible educational partners that we have, and I'm not going to steal any of their thunder. We also have things like Work in the Triangle, which is designed to help with the recruitment and retention of talent into our market. We're focused on talent pipeline, how we grow the next generation of employees that will be serving our companies. We also host an online career fair called Triangle Tuesdays every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we have over 715,000 impressions, and we engage 150 companies. That is done through the support and engagement with our county commissioners and our county partners. Such an important benefit that we bring to our companies that are looking for that talent that they need to be successful. We're telling the story of our area. That's important both for business recruitment and retention and expansion, but also for attracting talent into the market. So we've successfully placed over 83 stories in national media and generated over 1.4 billion in impressions from those media stories about our market, which is so exciting. So now I want to talk about something that I am just super excited about that we're working on in partnership with the county and with their support, and that is a new effort focused on equitable economic development. About 3 years ago, the county produced a vulnerable communities heat map. And I remember very, very distinctly, I was sitting in my office, I was running Wake County Economic Development at the time, not in my new role. And we were talking about our project flow, which was about 45, if I remember correctly, 45-ish active projects. And I had the Vulnerable Communities heat map on my desk beside me. And we're talking about these great projects and the jobs that they could potentially bring into our community. Of those 53 projects that we're working right now, that equates to over 12,600 potential jobs and over $3.4 billion in potential investment. And our pipeline wasn't quite that strong. Our pipeline's trending about 40% more active than it did over past years, but it was still strong. But I had that Vulnerable Communities heat map beside me, and I looked at my staff and I said, what are we doing about that? What can we do to help move those communities forward in the way that we at the Chamber and as an economic development organization can? So we worked with RTI to do a best practices analysis, looking at policies and programs that are moving the needle. We presented that information to the County Commission, and through their support, we were able to create a new position focused on equitable economic development. And we hired Danya Perry, and he is now our Equitable Economic Development Manager, focusing on policies and strategies that are both people-based and place-based. Could not be more thrilled to have him on board. He started in January, and that was due to the help and support of the county. So thank you very, very much for that. Another round of applause for that. We are so excited. Very, very excited. So we work to support entrepreneurs. We work to support small businesses. We're now the home of Innovate Raleigh. We have a partnership with Innovate Raleigh. They're housed at the Chamber now. They are a 501c3, so they're not a program of the Chamber, but we work with them to support our entrepreneurs throughout the community, which is so exciting. We work with small businesses, and we work to facilitate regional collaboration as we work to keep this community as strong as it is and can be in the future. So thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you all for your leadership. Chair Holmes, thank you so much. And now I'll hand it back over to Orridge. Thank you so much.
You know, while she was speaking, I Googled economic development Raleigh, and her name popped up, you know. Wow, that is amazing. Thank you, Adrian. Our next guests know how important a great public school system is to economic development, as well as the high quality of life we enjoy here in Wake County. Monica, I did it. Monica Johnson-Hostler wears many hats. She is the executive director of the North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault and serves as the chair of the Wake County Board of Education. Monica is also one of those people that is just everywhere and bringing passion and love to this community. Her other role is that she is the godmother to 165,000 children. And she takes that seriously. Seppi Saidi is also a dedicated public servant. She founded Seppi Engineering and Construction in 2001 and has been named by the Triangle Business Journal as a top 20 CEO of the year. Seppi serves on numerous boards and you will see her everywhere. And we want to thank you both for what you do. And by the way, Seppi even found time to get married recently. So how about that? She is one of the co-chairs of the Wake County Bond Initiative, Friends of Wake County Bond Initiative, along with myself, Blunt Williams, and George York. Little shout out here, don't forget to vote for the bonds on November 6th. All right, please join me in welcoming Monica and Seppi.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the quick self-correct on the name. I keep saying I'm not sure how well it serves me as an elected official. But again, my name is Monica Johnson-Hostler, and it is beyond my pleasure to join you all this evening. As you heard, I'm the current board chair of the Wake County Board of Education, and I don't think that Adrian or I or Tom can thank you enough, Chair Holmes, for creating this environment where you actually are showcasing why Wake County is the best place to live. That all of us collectively create the landscape that makes us one of the best, clearly the best place, because 60 plus people move here every day. And as you can imagine, that has a huge, significant impact on our public schools. And so before Seppi and I begin to talk about the importance of voting yes on the bond on November 6th, I want to give you a little bit of highlights for those of you who may not be paying attention, which is pretty difficult because we're pretty fortunate that the media covers Wake County Public Schools regularly, so I'm sure most of you are pretty up to date. But if not, I think it's important to add to this evening the importance of our public school. And I'll start with our motto that I do believe sets the tone for Wake County Public Schools, but I also think it sets the tone for those who were born in Wake County, those who've been in Wake County, like myself, nearly 20 years, and gave birth to my daughter here in a Raleigh hospital that call it my home, and for those who moved in today. We are the reason that Wake County is great, and at Wake County Public Schools, we say what starts here changes everything. And I often add, as a woman of color in leadership, that what stops here also changes things. And that's important for us to note for our Wake County Public Schools, because as you heard Adrian talk about the broad diversity of our community, that directly impacts our public schools as well. And equally, we are invested in equity in our schools. So many of you will hear us talk about what it means to bring equity to our school system. And one of the things I'm most proud to say to you is that we have the highest graduation rate that Wake County has had, and it's been rising for the last 6 consecutive years. And I will add that it's currently 89.1%, and our goal by 2020. Thank you. And that investment is our community. At Wake County Public Schools are very open and honest about we are the best choice to educate your students in Wake County because of our community partnerships. We don't do this alone, and we don't talk about doing it alone. We talk about the importance of our partnerships with the county, with the chamber, because as you all can imagine, one of Adrian's major selling points to Wake County around economic development is Wake County Public Schools is an economic engine among itself. We have over 18,000 employees. Our budget is $1.46 billion. And so we are indeed, and we're hiring today. So for anybody in here or watching, we are always hiring. And so I think it's important that we talk about Wake County both as an educational entity, but also as a vibrant economic part of our community. And as you heard, we're well on our way to our 2020 goal, which is to graduate 95% of our students. The other important thing that is important for me to say for most of you who've heard my story of why I ran for school board is we are indeed committed to closing the divide. So when we talk about equity, for us, it's an action word. And so people often talk about whether a word, especially in the education field, whether it's a noun or a verb, and equity absolutely is a verb for us. For the first time, we can actually see the gap closing. Last year, 2018 graduation rates, for the first time, we saw significant gains among our children of color, but also our low socioeconomic students. And that is why we made equity a verb, because we wanted to be able to to see the change that we're talking about. We don't want to talk about it without reporting to you. And so I stand here tonight saying that's one of the most things that I'm proud of, but it is also a benchmark that we're nowhere near there. So there is no mistake that we have not achieved our goal. And while 95% is our strategic plan goal for 2020, I want that to be for all of our students, that we are clearly making that. Ms. Moore talks all the time about our commitment is to every child each day. And that is for every part of our strategic plan and everything that I'm going to talk to you about this evening. Additionally, we're always hiring teachers, but we're very proud of our teachers. Our workforce, our human capital is the core of who we are. And we are very proud to say, and I got the privilege of actually hearing the National Board Certification Chair say to me, every year we are astounded at how Wake County remains at the top tier of the most concentrated community in this country with our board certified teachers. We have over 1,400 board certified teachers. And with that comes along a ton of other greatness. As you all know, we don't just grade ourselves, the state also grades us. And one of the things that you don't hear in the media is that over 90% of our teachers meet or exceed growth standards last year and every year. That's important for our community to know, because often what people hear are the things that are negative in our school, and I think this place is to recognize where we need to go, but also honor and celebrate where we are, and that is our human capital. We couldn't do this without our teachers, and we're also clear that our teachers are on this journey with us towards our equity goals. And so while they are smart, brilliant, and doing a great job, we're also very clear that they're a part of this action, and we're including their voices in this conversation. You heard in my day job, I do social justice activism, and that means you reach out to your community. So we're a strong board that does believe that we include the people that we're talking about, and our teachers are our stakeholders. And so they are absolutely indeed a part of this conversation. And so are these cute kids back here too. I mean, you have to see the cute kids. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the leadership of Wake County Public Schools. And so I get to stand here and represent a committed, strong board, which I see several of my colleagues in the audience, so if you haven't thanked them, please do. People always say to me, you have the hardest job and it's thankless. It is. They say that, but they don't actually say thank you after that. So for those of you who say to school board members, oh, you have such a thankless job, it's so hard, and we're like, yes, thank you. So the next step of that is also the commitment of our school board members. Indeed, like Adrian, like Commissioner Holmes, we are burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, but I would say that's true for our entire board, and I'm extremely proud to serve with people who are committed. More importantly, this lovely picture that you see up here is we are extremely proud to actually go through a full national search. And I think that's important, especially as a woman, to know that she deserved the job. Kathy Moore has been in Wake County, and I would say it's also a value to note, from teacher to principal to deputy superintendent to now our first female superintendent. She is more than uniquely qualified. I also have to say, as a woman, to choose to be the board chair while we, as a board, chose our first woman superintendent, I will forever hold that as a cornerstone for my own life. I also have a daughter, and so that's also important for me to note that, as you will see this evening, there is a display of women in Wake County who are absolutely putting our lives into action on behalf of this community. And so I think it's important that you know that you have a stellar leader and is uniquely qualified to be at the post of heading Wake County Public Schools. And I would also be remiss if I didn't remind you all that we're the 15th largest school district in the country, and I have 165,000 students, over 186 schools. And so I think that's important that people in this community think about the breadth, the depth, and the scope of educating students in Wake County. And we are absolutely proud to have Kathy at the helm. So, back to vote yes on the bond on November 6th for public schools. Again, I also save this time to thank the commissioners for their commitment. Many of you are aware that the public school staff, as well as the county staff, have worked diligently for several years to create and present the first time 7-year rolling plan to building the much needed schools for the astronomical growth in Wake County. And that commitment happened in 2016. And it's important to note that that commitment was about the commitment and the economic vitality of this county, but it was also about real partnership. And partnership is like family when you're talking about elected bodies. So things aren't always rainbows, kittens, and unicorns. It's the grind work. And I think that's important to say at the state of the county, that we're doing the hard work. And while it may seem difficult and not as nice to some people looking on the outside, this is why we do this. And I think that's important to my colleagues on both boards to recognize it's not just these little people, but it's the people who are hired in this community to build our schools. Every single adult and child in this building is why we're all here. These people are the representation of our county. All extremely diverse, and in this picture, extremely happy. So that's how we actually want to remember our county, is all smiling. But this is an example of what the bond is committed to do at the cheapest price, and also ensuring that our county remains and keeps its AAA bond rating. And that's why we're talking about the bond. But I also think it's important to recognize the commitment that the county commissioners have made to the school system. And I will forever be grateful and tell them thank you as many times publicly, because oftentimes it's one thing to say it privately, but I think it's important that our community hear that the gratitude is said publicly and absolutely understanding. This example, I think, is one of my favorite examples, one, because it sits squarely in my district in Garner, but this is an example of what we did with our last capital improvement. This is actually, we were signing the beam, which you can see behind. Students, parents, and our community were able to sign it. It was one of the major renovations. And so Vandora Springs was a pretty old school, and the first thing when I came on the board, I didn't realize this was going to be what I walked into, and the principal said, "Great day to come here. Look at this flood all the way on the kindergarten hallway." And I was like, oh, this is my first school that I went to. Literally, I went there. I was elected in October of 2013, and I went to Vandora Springs 2 weeks after, and that's what I found. And I think it's important to note that that is the beauty that this bond does. You also see lovely smiling faces up here as well. This is the culmination of what the bond does. It's a ribbon cutting. And it's interesting because people go back and forth, especially one of our media folks, journalists who spends a lot of time with the school district. And he always says, you always say that your favorite things are spotlight on students, employee excellence, groundbreakings, and ribbon cuttings. And I said, yes, because those are the cornerstones for everything in between. It is important to us that we're recognizing the challenges and also the successes of our students and our student spotlights, employee excellence, recognizing that our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers, our teacher assistants, our custodians, all the way to our teachers and our administrators, that we are committed to not just hiring them, but hiring them in the best working conditions. And that's what we're talking about, because when they are working in the best working conditions, we all know that when we're happy with our employment, that means the outcome and productivity is that much greater. And that's why we are able to talk about the great numbers that I did earlier in this presentation. And I think that's a great lead-in to have a great conversation so that you all can hear from, as you heard Seppi be introduced as one of the co-chairs for the Friends of Wake.
Thank you, Monica. Well, I don't think I need to say much after that
Of course
introduction.
you do.
Really. You did such a fantastic job, and thank you for what you do. It means a lot.
Thank you. So I think it's important that people hear, I believe, from our business community of why they're committed to Wake County as a whole, but in this case specifically committed to our building program.
Thank you for that question. So I came to Wake County over 30 years ago. I was originally born in Iran, came to Wake County, and I have not left. So I raised my children here. They went to Wake County public schools, and I have been able to create a very successful business in this county. So I owe a debt of gratitude, and I love this county and state. And the reason that I am co-chairing this bond with Orange Curls, George York, and Blunt Williams is because it's really not because I don't have anything else better to do. Because I want to give back. And of all the community activities that I do, of everything that I volunteer, this is the closest to my heart because my mother was a public school teacher, my grandmother was a high school principal, and I come from a family of educators. So first of all, I have huge respect for all the teachers, and I think that that's the foundation of a healthy society, to have more teachers enter teaching and really help our children with their future. And I always say that education is the way to change your economic status. So for any child, no matter what kind of economic situation they are in, if they have a good education and are able to go to college and have a career, that could fundamentally change their future forever. So school is really important. This bond on November 6th is absolutely essential. So I want to thank again our county commissioners, great county commissioners. Thank you for a round of applause for what you do. Thank you. And the Wake County School Boards for your vision. It's a real commitment and partnership between the county commissioners and school board to think about the future and put this bond in place, which is absolutely important and crucial for our future.
So one of the things that I'll add here, which I didn't talk about there, is the number and all the other things I think is important to note that will go into the $548 million bond request is 11 big renovations, as I talked about with Vandora Springs, 7 new schools. And at this time, I also think, especially given the changing the trajectory and ensuring that students have access, it also includes significant technology purchases, significant security upgrades. And so I think people generally think about the bond in terms of the building, but I think it's also important we ensure that our community understands that the bond really does go back to the entire school.
Yes, and many of these schools need that facility upgrade. So that's a very important piece. It's not only new schools, 5 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school that are new, and safety and security. So it's very important. The area is growing, and we have an obligation to provide seat for every child in our county. And general obligation bonds are the best way to pay for this. So I feel that it's the right thing to do, and I hope that we easily pass this and secure the future of our children.
I think that's well stated, and I think I'll wrap us there, and you feel free to add any final comments that you want to ensure that people hear us say about the importance of the bond and the impact that it has on our students.
I just say vote November 6th. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much, Monica and Seppi. This bond is critical, and I know that we're going to make it happen. Our next speaker really doesn't need to be introduced because Tom Looney has been in Wake County for 25 years, and he is the current chair of the Wake Tech Board of Trustees, a position he has held since retiring as Vice President and General Manager of Lenovo North America. He, too, is a tireless advocate for community college and is here tonight to show us what Wake Tech has been up to this past year and, more importantly, where they're headed. So please welcome Tom.
Well, thanks, Orange. I am actually thrilled to be here tonight and really talk about the impact that Wake Tech has on economic development, economic mobility for our students, compassion for those students who are less fortunate, but how we drive innovation into how we create jobs and inspire people of all ages to find the skills needed to be productive members of society. But let's take a look at what our students say first.
I came to Wake Tech after graduating from Cary High School. Nearly a quarter of Wake County High School graduates, they come to Wake Tech.
Wake Tech nursing students like me do extremely well on the RN licensure exam, with more than 90% passing it on the first try.
I'm looking forward to transferring to NC State after I graduate from Wake Tech, and chances are I'll have a higher GPA as a junior than students who started there.
I'm Deputy Fuentes with the Wake County Sheriff's Office. Just like every deputy, I received vital training at Wake Tech.
I'm glad I picked computer technologies because I know 90% of the students in career programs at Wake Tech will have a job within 90 days of graduation.
Those are some pretty incredible stats from our students on what they're achieving at Wake Tech and the student success we're able to achieve. Let me share a couple other facts with you. We are the largest community college today in North Carolina, and one of only a handful that are continuing to grow of the 58 community colleges in this state. We're also one of the fastest growing community colleges in the country. We have 74,000 students today, and over 40,000 of those students are in continuing education. About 20,000 are in degree programs, and 15,000 students today participate in our virtual online programs. And what's really amazing is today, we serve 1 in 10 adults in Wake County, which is a pretty phenomenal number when you really think about it. And that's why I say there's no organization in Wake County that touches more people and changes more lives than Wake Tech. They change lives every day. I spent 42 years in the IT business. I've been working with Wake Tech 7 years, and I've never been more passionate or inspired with what we achieve at Wake Tech. And let me make that same comment about the county commissioners. It's one thing to provide funding and support. It's another thing to have a commitment, to have passion, and to be involved. And having been involved in politics in many states with many different organizations on many boards, this Board of County Commissioners and the Wake County Public Schools are true partners in what we've built and what we're going to continue to build here at Wake Tech. And I will tell you, just so you know, we've got our interim president, Dr. Aiken, and my vice chair, Doris Eubner. If you raise your hand back in the back of the room here. He's doing a great job. The other thing to notice, I'm involved in a lot of economic recruitment along with Adrienne. She's the best. I'm second, third, maybe fourth to Adrienne. But just so you know, our board is appointed by the Wake County Commissioners, our board is appointed by the Wake County Public Schools, and our board is appointed by the governor, 4 members from each. So we are a team driving for Wake County. Now today, we have 10 locations across Wake County. 6 campuses, 3 training centers, and our virtual campus, which is number 10. And we just added our 6th campus, which is an RTP. We completed the first building. We have over 1,000 students already enrolled on that campus today. And if you look in Wake County today, we have over 9,000 open IT jobs. So you want to talk about vision, Wake Tech and the county had the vision to put that facility in place, and we've got a plan to be able to train 7,000 students out of that facility, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Michael Walden, who's very well respected in the state. People rarely question Michael Walden. Well, he recently did a study for Wake Tech to determine our economic impact on the county itself, and it's over $3 billion between our school as a whole, our graduates, and our students. So Wake Tech alone, significant impact on our overall economic development. Now, if you look at Wake County today, we actually have more job openings than we have unemployed. How does Wake Tech going to help that? What we do is people that are employed, we give them new skills. The people that are unemployed, we give them new skills and enable them to enter the workforce. We're also attracting people back into the workforce that have left and providing new opportunity, providing skills for those who are underemployed. So everyone is our customer at Wake Tech, and we've got offerings for each and every one of them. As I said, we've got 9,000 open jobs in the IT space today, and what's amazing, and Adrienne knows, these IT companies continue to grow here, and these IT companies continue to want to move here. And we are an economic engine for those IT companies by providing workforce because the #1 requirement when they come and look at Wake County. What is your workforce? And I will tell you, Wake Tech is at every single recruitment meeting. We are at the table, and what sets our state apart is the fact we have a collaborative effort with all the colleges and the universities and the school system. And customers tell me, customers relocating here say, that's your secret sauce and where Wake County stands out. Compassion. We're looking for a new president, and we've talked to over 800 people now about what they want to see in a president and what Wake Tech stands for. And the key message I got is everyone we spoke to said, Wake Tech makes everyone feel like they're a priority. And part of that feeling of priority is the compassion we show. Fostering bright futures. These are foster children. We help provide them with an education and give them a path to achieve their dreams. English is a second language. You want to talk about diversity? We have 87 people from 87 different countries today that attend Wake Tech. Individualized learning centers to provide tutoring for those students that are struggling. Student advocacy. We have pantries at all 6 campuses for those folks that need food, could need transportation, and connect them to advocacy groups that can help them with challenges as they try to graduate. And also basic adult education to help those students, those adults who have intellectual disabilities that it doesn't allow them to be employed today. We are compassionate to get everyone across the line, and that's why everyone is a priority at Wake Tech. Innovation. Dr. Scott, who has been a phenomenal leader in this town for over 15 years, put a program in place called Applied Benchmarking. And Applied Benchmarking says you're always focused on doing things better. There are over 1,000 ideas that Wake Tech has deployed over his time period at Wake Tech that have produced significant results. And I want to share a few with you tonight. One is we were the first in North Carolina to offer healthcare simulation technology. And you'll see as I get to the bond, most of our investments are revolved around technology. Second, we were the first to deliver a business associates in business analytics. We did that in conjunction with SAS. First in the country. We have over 60 customer councils, and these are businesses who provide us direction on what our curriculum needs to be successful so they hire our employees. But don't believe me. 90 days ago, Wake Tech was written up in the Wall Street Journal. The article, Tech's new hotbed, talent incubator, community colleges. Wake Tech was written up because of the partnerships that we have with the tech firms in town to provide curriculum, internships, technology, and oh, by the way now, scholarships for underrepresented minorities and women. And at the end of this month, I will be joined by executives from IBM, Lenovo, and Cisco in front of 1,600 delegates that represent the community colleges across the country to talk about this unique program we have at building ownership of the business community of our tech campus here. We're attracted. So, how do we take what's been a phenomenal success to the next level? We're going to do it with the help of the bond, and I want to thank the county commissioners, Wake County Public Schools, all our elected officials for the support in the past. Every time we've run a bond, we've won by a significant margin. Right to ask. And I think Wake Tech has earned the right to ask. So let me tell you where we're going to make those investments. As I said, a lot of these are technology-based investments we're going to make. Safe communities. We're doing 4D, 3D streetscapes to make our citizens more safe and also our first responders more safe. And healthcare on the North Campus will expand our healthcare capabilities in areas of mammography and sonography. The trades. In the automotive industry right now, technology is beginning to take over, and we'll have courses that our dealers have asked for that says we need to offer on the North Campus to be able to provide the skills they need. Advanced industries, advanced manufacturing, global supply chain, that will all be offered at our North Campus as we build out our automated industries. And finally, information technology. As I said, that campus supports 1,000 students. We're going to get up to 7,000 students, and we're going to expand into areas like biotech and agritech. Our first building is up. Our second is funding. What's coming next is additional funding for parking garage and additional buildings. We have the ability again on that campus that's 94 acres, and we're also working with the Wake County Public Schools to see at some point maybe we can get an IBM P-Tech on that campus, which will be my goal before I leave Wake Tech. So, why the bond? Why Wake Tech? bond is a smart way to go at it as far as you want funding for facilities. It's a $34 tax increase, or only about 10 cents a day for the Wake County bond. The cumulative return for every dollar you invest in Wake Tech or have invested delivers $11.50. Now, you don't have to be a rocket science to understand that that's a hell of a return on your investment. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for your passion and ownership of Wake Tech. I thank you what you do for all the students in our community, what you do for economic development. And I got to say, the team at Wake Tech is one of the most incredible teams I've had the opportunity to work with. And that's what I'll end with. At Wake Tech, no one is left behind. Everyone is a priority. This is your community college. And again, thank you for the time this evening, and please vote in November for the Wake Tech bond. The students, our citizens will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. You've heard the word growth a lot tonight from our speakers, and that's no surprise. Every one of the goals and initiatives that Wake County Board of Commissioners has developed encompasses some component of growth. They're working hard to plan for it so that growth doesn't negatively impact the high quality of life that we enjoy here. Tonight, we want to share with you the progress the board has made in goal areas, because that's the best way to illustrate the true state of the county. In the video we're about to play, you'll hear from each of your commissioners as they highlight the strides the county has made on key issues and the difference it's making for residents in our community.
Here we are at this amazing place, Yates Mill Pond. This water wheel mill is over 200 years old, was here before the American Revolution, and is the only active water wheel mill in Wake County, probably in the southeast, and you can come and see this park. We have such an amazing array of parks here in Wake County. Yates Mill Pond, Lake Crabtree County Park, Harris Lake, and of course the American Tobacco Trail. Collectively, they have over 1.4 million visitors. And this is not even counting our municipal partners who have a whole array of parks just on their own. If you haven't experienced our amazing parks here in Wake County, it is truly something you need to put on your bucket list. Many people are asking, what is this Open Space Parks and Greenways bond? Well, it's $120 million spread over 6 years, or $20 million a year. But what would it go for? Well, first, it's going to expand and improve our existing park system. As amazing as it is, we actually need more parks. All right? The second thing is our amazing greenway system, 200 miles of greenways here in Wake County, but we want to do more. And then the final piece is the open space part, which is preserving natural areas to keep our water clean and to keep our air clean and fresh. All of these amenities add so much to our quality of life. Get the information on the Open Space Parks and Greenways bond, and be sure and vote on November 6th.
Education is also a top priority for this board. As a former principal, I know that a positive classroom experience can really shape a child's future. It's the foundation for their success both now and in life. That's why in fiscal year 2018, we committed to investing nearly $431 million in the Wake County Public School System. That represented the highest per pupil funding investment ever in our schools, until June when we raised it even higher. This historic trend reflects our dedication to providing the brightest future possible for the 160,000 public school students in our district. And with more than 180 schools, Wake County is the largest school system in North Carolina and the 15th largest in the country. As the number of students grows, we continue to build new schools and renovate existing ones across the county. So far, this year, we've broken ground on 3 schools and cut the ribbon on 4 others. As they open, these facilities feature the tools and technology 21st century students need to compete in a global marketplace. Capital projects like these are supported by a new 7-year building program. It's great because it offers financial stability and predictability while giving the school system the flexibility it needs to react to changing conditions.
Wake County's economy is strong. One reason why companies want to locate and expand here is because of our strong commitment to public education. As the owner of a company here, I know firsthand that workforce training is important, and that's what Wake Tech does so well. About 40,000 people relied on the community college last year alone for continuing education, so they could enhance their skills and grow with their careers. When you see that, it's no wonder why we're ranked by Forbes and others as one of the top 10 best places to start a business or best cities to launch a career. These accolades help us to continue to attract the attention of companies across the country and around the world. In the past year, Wake County businesses have created nearly 5,500 new jobs, many in the technology and health sciences sector. We've also seen 30 companies come to our area and 62 companies expand. In all, this represents an impressive $177 million of new investments in Wake County and supports continuing wage growth and, of course, lower unemployment. By thinking strategically, we can grow and make sure those who invest here grow along with us.
While Wake County has a robust economy, not everyone is benefiting from it. Right now, about 125,000 people in Wake County live in poverty. They don't always know where their next meal will come from and often struggle to find affordable places to live. Many have endured adverse childhood experiences, which we know can negatively impact their health and well-being. That's why social and economic vitality is such an important goal for this Board of Commissioners. Over the past year, we have taken significant steps to help our most vulnerable residents. We broke ground in June on the Oak City Center in Raleigh. It will serve as a one-stop shop for people experiencing homelessness. There, they will get help transitioning to permanent housing and access to economic, medical, mental health, and employment assistance. We have also continued to implement the strategies in our Affordable Housing Action Plan. We supported establishing a new housing department in the county focused solely on creating and preserving more housing that working families can afford. The fiscal year 2019 budget adopted in June provides significant recurring funds to support this effort. Finally, the social and economic vitality pilot programs we established in Southeast Raleigh and in Eastern Wake County are making progress in a very positive way. Through a collective impacts model, we have reopened the Crosby Garfield Center, and the initiative there is off to a great start. The Southeast Raleigh Innovation Challenge was also a tremendous success with 52 entrepreneurs participating and 4 receiving grants to launch their businesses. To further foster economic development in underserved communities, we have updated our business development policy to include a vulnerable communities tier.
Another essential county function is to help keep our residents safe. We have skilled and dedicated employees in the Sheriff's Office, Fire Services, City County Bureau of Identification, and EMS who work hard to serve and protect our growing population. Since 2014, EMS has experienced a 15% increase in calls for service, with the volume reaching more than 100,000 calls last year alone. To meet the rising demand, we're investing more than $1 million this year to purchase 2 new ambulances and hire the staff needed to operate them. We're also expanding our successful EMT to paramedic training program that we established last year. It will produce 10 trained paramedics annually and give our EMS department the stable pipeline of qualified talent it needs to serve our growing population. To further its recruiting efforts, EMS has also partnered with Wake Tech and Wake County Public Schools to develop a special EMS training program at North Wake College and Career Academy. This unique high school helps prepare students for a career in EMS and allows them to become eligible to take the EMT certification test after finishing their senior year. Several fire departments in Wake County have improved their insurance ratings over the past year, resulting in cost savings of up to 6% for owners of nearby commercial properties. This countywide trend reflects the fire department's dedication to continued improvement. We've also made advancements in our efforts to combat the opioid epidemic. For the first time ever, all of Wake County's first responders carry naloxone, the so-called antidote to opioid intoxication. That includes sheriff's deputies, ambulances, and firefighters.
As Wake County continues to grow, we must plan for the future in responsible and sustainable ways. One approach we're taking to do that is a community-wide planning effort called Plan Wake. It will use public input to create a new comprehensive plan for the county. It will set the long-range vision for issues like land use and environmental protection and generate high-level policies to guide decision-making. Another way we're preparing for future growth is by implementing the Wake Transit Plan. In the first year, we worked with our partners to increase Sunday bus service and expand midday and Saturday bus service. In Raleigh alone, Sunday ridership is up 60%. We've also implemented the Youth Go Pass, which lets Wake County teens ride the bus for free anywhere in the Triangle. These improvements are paying off. Although bus ridership numbers are down nationally, they're up in Wake County. We're also focused on making sure future generations have a clean, abundant water supply. We're embarking on the One Water Study, something no other county in the state has done. It will create a comprehensive snapshot of our county water usage, and we'll use it to develop a long-term plan to prevent water shortages. And finally, Wake County has decided to support the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement. Following up on that decision, this spring, we adopted revised energy design and management guidelines, which put us on the very cutting edge of energy conservation and construction. Together with Wake County's public schools and Wake Tech, we can now ensure that any county construction done with your tax dollars is efficient and sustainable.
So as you can see, Wake County has made significant progress in goal areas over the past year. From education and economic strength to community health and public safety, the board has made strides to improve service, enhance access, and proactively plan for our future. It is now my honor to introduce the chair of the board of Wake County Commissioners. She truly is a unique person. Young, talented, committed, and one of the most humble people I've ever met. Jessica was elected to the commission, the youngest ever person elected, and the youngest African-American woman to serve as chair of the board. With a look at how Wake County will continue moving forward, please join me in welcoming our distinguished chairwoman, Jessica Holmes.
It has been my distinct honor to serve as chair of this Board of Commissioners. I can personally attest that every single commissioner that is sitting before me right now has a heart of gold and has nothing but the absolute best interest of Wake County in mind. I'd also like to thank Orange for being an amazing MC tonight, along with our other special guests, CEO Adrian Cole, Chairwoman Monica Johnson-Hostler, Chair Tom Looney, and Seppi of Seppi Engineering. Thank you all for making the 2018 State of the County amazing. So on the other end of our emails and our phone calls, like me talking to our communications department on Sunday at 9 p.m., is our amazing staff. Most of the time, on the tail end of my phone calls and emails and text messages, is our very own county manager, David Ellis. If you could stand and be recognized. Wake County boasts more than 4,000 employees that get the benefit and the privilege of dealing with us all the time. So if you are an employee of Wake County government, please stand. as many of them will joke with you, from making sure that they have candy on hand when I need it, to making sure that our iPads are charged in time for the meeting. They are always there to support us. There was a time that happened pretty recently where watching staff do what they do was particularly meaningful for me. Many of you know that I was born and raised in eastern North Carolina. My family home flooded during Hurricane Florence. And while we weren't impacted here in Wake County in the way that we initially anticipated, hundreds and thousands of people were. Wake County hosted more than 1,200 evacuees from the East Coast. Many people that I knew and that I grew up with were evacuated between Pender County and Onslow County and so on. If you volunteered, if you worked on behalf of Wake County government, if you dropped off some cheeseburgers or some toys, if you could please stand and be recognized, our first responders, our EMS team, if you all particularly could please stand and be recognized for your work. Now, I noticed that Mr. Ellis decided not to stand that particular time, but he and I had the opportunity to share a moment as we were getting one of our high schools ready. It had started to rain, and we realized that we didn't have the signs out in front of the school. So unlike Mr. Ellis, I had to worry about my hair getting wet, but he did not seem to mind that his hair was getting wet. But on the real though, we do have some amazing accomplishments to celebrate tonight. But it's not just about celebrating what we've accomplished. It's also about looking forward to our future. But before I get into all that, I have an astounding announcement to make. This is breaking news, you all. Wake County has been named as the nation's second healthiest employer in the nation. The entire country. Just for context, we were ranked 14th last year. Now, anybody else's county government would be like, all right, that's a good job. That's a job well done. But we were like, Being top 20 wasn't good enough for us. Being top 10 wasn't good enough for us. And I tell you what, whoever it is that has that number one spot, we are coming for them next year. They should know this. And how did we get here? To this place of having a happy and healthy workforce. It didn't happen by being laissez-faire. It didn't happen by chance. There were policies that were put in place to let our employees know how much we absolutely adore and appreciate the candy they provide to me. That we absolutely appreciate them answering our calls outside of hours. A few things that we've done. First, we've implemented a living wage because we believe that if you are willing to put in the work, that you should make ends meet. We put forth one of the most competitive paid parental leave policies because we know, and the data shows, that bonding isn't just about holding your baby. That there's data in place to support that bonding time actually helps improve health outcomes, not just for the mother and baby, but for the entire family. We put in place a volunteer leave policy, and then we added to it. And then we added to it again to make sure that our employees could go out into the community and practice what we preach. Because Wake County is a place of doers, not just talk. When I talk about us being a county that actually walks the walk, social and economic vitality is a key priority for this board. Because there's the reality that with 63 people coming here every day, and all of our accolades, Wake County has a challenge when it comes to upward mobility and making sure that the rising tide lifts all of us. So this board, being as caring and compassionate as we are, have put things in place to address social and economic vitality. It's very difficult for all of us to be a healthy and vibrant community when people are homeless, when people are hungry. I was talking to Orge earlier about the frustration I get sometimes when people say, no one's hungry in Wake County, no one's homeless in Wake County. There's a reality that hunger doesn't look like a TV commercial that you saw advertising that you spend $13 a month on a particular program. Hunger can look like a child like me. I grew up on free and reduced price lunch. I benefited from what we call food stamps. And there are so many children in our school system right now that are hurting and that are hungry. And that's why I appreciate so much the school system's approach of teaching to the whole child. Because we have 2,200 kids in the school system right now who live in hotels up and down 2 particular streets in Raleigh. Can you all tell me what those 2 streets are? Capitol Boulevard and New Bern Avenue, right now. It is difficult, as we all know, because our stomachs are probably growling right now, but it is difficult to focus and it is difficult to learn when you are hungry. A couple things that we've done to address homelessness. Wake County created its first ever affordable housing steering committee. And again, it was one thing to do a study and bring in consultants. It's another thing to put your money where your mouth is. And that's why this board has put in place a historic $15 million investment to make sure that all of our community has a place to live. This board is working with partners, community partners, from the Post Center to Smart Start to address adverse childhood experiences. And just last week, this board addressed one of the greatest inequities that I have seen in Wake County government. My colleague, Commissioner Burns, called it a glaring oversight. The fact that Wake County government had been providing excellent services as it relates to providing shelters for men. But where was Wake County government's shelter for single women? I'll wait. It doesn't exist. But when I became chair, I said that the theme of my chairmanship would be partnerships. And just last week, Wake County government, this board, provided $2 million in funding to urban ministries to make sure that we don't leave our single women out in the cold. So I mentioned to you all that I'm from Eastern North Carolina. I grew up just outside of Camp Lejeune. And oftentimes I hear people mispronounce it, but it's Lejeune. Ending veterans' homelessness is also a part of our plan. About 30 men every single night that come through the Wake County Men's Shelter have served our country. About 12% of the overall men who go through the South Wilmington Street Shelter are veterans. Almost 250 people. This board believes that we can better serve the people who have served our country. That's why we have a goal of ending veterans' homelessness by 2021. Talk is cheap. It's one thing to set a goal. It's another thing to work with our community partners to not just provide housing for our veterans, but provide permanent supportive housing and the wraparound services that they need to address their mental health issues, to address drug and substance abuse issues. We want to make sure that we serve them as admirably as they've served us. When it comes to giving housing the attention that it needs, the reality is we're going to continue being great. We're going to continue attracting people, which means our issues of supply and demand will just continue and will essentially be indefinite. That's why for the first time ever, we are creating a housing department that will be a standalone department. Right now, we are conducting a national search for a housing director that's going to realize that vision. Look out for an announcement soon as we bring forth our housing director. Behavioral health. We have put in, there's a reality that when you're dealing with issues like homelessness, that we have to acknowledge the fact that 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. deal with mental health issues. 1 in every 5 adults. We can't ignore that behavioral health is becoming an even bigger challenge here in North Carolina, but just like other counties across the state and other states across this country, Wake County is dealing with an opioid crisis. That's why, as my colleague, Commissioner Calabria mentioned, we have trained our first responders to deliver naloxone, to make sure that as best as we can, that we address and prevent as many overdose deaths as possible. That's why we're working with our sheriff's office and the DEA task force. That's why we put in place the Second Chance Initiative. According to the North Carolina Justice Center, 1.6 million North Carolinians have a criminal record. That's more than 1/10 of our state's population. My thing is speeding tickets, as most of us know, considering our recent chamber trip to Pinehurst. But it is absolutely a public safety crisis to make sure that those 1.6 million people are able to feed their families and are able to make a living. That's why Wake County put in place its first ever fair chance hiring ordinance. Because we believe if you have done your time and you are ready to be a productive, law-abiding citizen, we believe you deserve a chance. We are committed to economic development. We are committed to creating jobs for those with criminal records, for those without criminal records. We have an amazing partnership, as was touted earlier by Ms. Adrienne Cole, not only with the Raleigh Chamber, but with all of our municipalities, and all of their chambers play such a critical role in our economic development. That's why we're on the radar of companies like Amazon and Apple. That's why we have closed the deal on Emphasis and Credit Suisse and Publix and Wayman's. We care about our community. We are letting businesses know that, one, we're open for business, but that we're also welcoming. Recently, Wake County put forth its first ever recognition of pride. We are working with our community. We are working with diverse populations better than we ever have. Parks. There's the reality that quality of life is one of the reasons that people are coming here. Right now, and largely in credit to Mr. Green Jeans, who's sitting here front and center, Wake County put in place its first ever master greenway plan. Wake County, this past year, has purchased and preserved 1,300 acres of open space. Down here, this little number here, this 16.4 million, the reason we have had historic tourism is because of all the things that I've talked about, but also because of our parks, our green space, our quality of life. Now, I can't speak enough about having a top-notch public school system. There are so many things that we can brag about that I won't even keep you all that long. For starters, this board has provided the #1 teacher supplement in the state of North Carolina. And why did we do that? Because we value our teachers and believe they should be paid accordingly. As was mentioned earlier, Wake County boasts the #1 number of nationally board certified teachers in the entire country. Our teachers are one of the best investments that we can make. Right now, we have about 53% of our general fund budget is spent on our schools. And we couldn't be more proud of those investments. Wake County Public School System is one of Wake County's largest employers, with over 18,000 employees. Now, I mentioned our teachers, and our teachers are an absolutely critical part of our school system. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the bus driver, who might be the first smile a child has seen in the morning. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the cafeteria worker, who may be providing the first or only meal that a child gets at the beginning of a school day. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the drama teachers and the coaches Like my drama teacher, the woman that grabbed me by the chin one day and said, "Jessica, open your mouth because you have something to say." Without these people, a lot of us wouldn't be here. And quite frankly, a lot of the companies that we get to brag about, they wouldn't be here either. Wake Tech. Mr. Looney didn't do it, but he's wearing Wake Tech socks. If you all haven't gotten Dr. Scott socks, I need you to donate so that you can get some Dr. Scott socks from Wake Tech. He has already talked about some of the overarching goals of Wake Tech and the fact that it's our state's largest community college system. But, large is a cute thing, large is one thing. But when I think of Wake Tech, I also think about quality. I also think that not only is it large in size, but in so many ways it's larger than life. When we talk about opening the RTP campus, well, we broke ground recently. It is an absolutely gorgeous building if you haven't seen it already. It's a beautiful building. But when we're talking about bonds for Wake Tech and for Wake County Public School System, we're not talking about doors and chairs and furniture. When we talk about those buildings, we're talking about building lives. We're talking about building families. We're talking about ending generational poverty. So when you think about the bond, don't just think about buildings and steel and beams. Think about the difference that we're making. I'm going to call up some Wake Tech students to join me right here in front of the stage. They didn't really know I was going to do that. So it was taking them a minute. I wanted to bring up these students so that you all could see. When we talk about bonds and we talk about dollar figures and we talk about taxes, I wanted you to see firsthand the difference that our K-12 system is making, that our community college system is making, that our colleges and university system is making. And they're a perfect example of that. Every single dollar that goes into our school systems, we get a direct return on investment. Of everything that I've said today, to basically sum it all up, life in Wake County is sweet. But that doesn't necessarily and always apply to all of us. We have to work hard and continue pushing the mold and not letting 14 be good enough. Not letting top 10 be good enough, but always striving for that #1 spot. Not just for the sake of being #1, but for the sake of making sure that the rising tide lifts all of us. So in the spirit of Wake County and living here being sweet, we have provided chocolates for each of you to take with you, courtesy of our Wake Tech culinary students. Please thank them for bringing us chocolate. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to each of my colleagues for allowing me to serve as your chair this year. And I would be remiss, I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege to close out like this. It has been one of the greatest honors to be a woman and be chair right now. And I almost just get the chills every single time I get the opportunity to stand next to my colleague, chair of the school board, Monica Johnson-Hostler. And also, every time I get to stand next to Adrian Cole. And that's the reality that women are running Wake County. We have a voice. We are running for office like never before. We are running businesses like never before. And my last shout out is going to be to the Wake County Women's Commission, who's also getting it done. So get your sweet treat and know that serving Wake County has been one of the sweetest aspects of my life. Thank you.